So, liquor prohibition, though started maybe with the right and a noble intention, has become a source of corruption, and the courts and judiciary in Bihar seem to be clogged with a lot of cases around this prohibition. Tell us how you see liquor prohibition in the state, and has it become a reason why the state is losing out on revenue and a lot of other opportunities?
The prohibition in Bihar was meant to be a sop for the woman voter that if your husband does not drink or we stop him from drinking, you can come and vote for me and you will be able to get more money from the kitty which is there for the household. Laudable, definitely. But I don't think this is the right way to, look at this problem. The problem is not one of woman not getting her sufficient to manage the household because the husband is spending on liquor. If he has a problem or if he has an alcoholic, he will do that spending, and even now he is doing that spending. Because what is happening today, that although there is said to be so-called prohibition in Bihar, actually liquor is being delivered at doorsteps. It's a little costlier. So the same guy who was spending say 100 rupees on liquor is ending up spending 150 and getting his liquor from these, bootleggers. Who are these bootleggers? And that's very, very important to understand. The bootleggers are people who are, part of the ruling party. So if a MLA or a minister, if his supporters get into bootlegging, obviously the police look the other way. So they can do this bootlegging exercise rampantly, and they can, bring in liquor from all over the country and supply and have their cut. So the state loses on excise revenue, and the bootlegger makes a huge killing by supplying this liquor, having brought in the state illegally. Now, who are these cases which end up in judiciary? It is the cases of those people who are not part of the ruling party, not the henchmen of these, these netas, the MLAs and the MPs. People who are, maybe of the henchmen of the opposition party or people who don't have a political leaning. They are the ones who are arrested with impunity. They are the ones who are taken to court. They are the ones whose bails are opposed right up to Supreme Court because they want to set an example that only people in the ruling party are meant to do this bootlegging trade. Anybody else who wants to do it will be dealt with very, very seriously. And that is why you see there is a battery of lawyers contesting whenever a bail is being argued, even for somebody having consumed liquor or having a couple of bottles in his possession, because they want to set an example by these people. Now, what are the losses to the state? The losses to the state are direct losses, the revenue which the state would have got on excise. Now, instead of that revenue which would have come to the state is going to the pocket of these, these henchmen of these politicians who are running the rival trade of liquor. What are the indirect losses? There are no conferences happening in Bihar. The tourism is taking a hit. The marriages and parties which were anniversary party which would have normally been planned in Patna is now being planned in Varanasi or in Ranchi or in Deoghar, which are neighboring areas of Bihar. People are ultimately going out and celebrating because they feel that because they don't want to get into this trouble of being against the law, and if you can't serve liquor openly for your party, obviously you don't want your guests to be humiliated by a police raid, especially if you are not part of the ruling party. The direct loss is excise loss. The direct gain is to these henchmen of these politicians, and the indirect loss, which is probably several times more than the direct loss, is in tourism, in revenue that could have been generated by more of employment, by more of functions happening in Bihar, by more of hotels being built. Till today in Patna, we don't have a good 5-star hotel, and the reason being that there is no tourism. So obviously there is nobody. There is no incentive to build a good 5-star hotel in Bihar. So all these, conferences, medical conferences, conferences of scientific bodies or of in universities, they are all moving out of Bihar and doing all that outside Bihar. The judiciary is clogged with these cases because the judiciary, because of these arrests which are happening of people who are arrested by the police because they are not part of the ruling, they are not part of the elite ruling party or supporters of the ruling elite party, they are to be taught a lesson. So the bails have to be opposed vigorously. You have to set the right example that nobody else but the ruling party should get indulged in prohibition. So those bails are now opposed tooth and nail right up to Supreme Court, and the judiciary, probably almost more than half the cases, or even more than half the cases of the judiciary in Bihar is under these prohibition related cases, and with the result that the judiciary does not have the time to do its normal work. It is not able to deal with the normal cases that it has. There is a pressure to deal with these cases because many of times the people who are arrested or who are facing trial are people, who have a right to be released, and who need a pre-audience, and who need to be whose cases need to be decided urgently. And because these cases are so many in number, because the lesson has to be taught to everybody who is wanting to indulge in prohibition, in bootlegging, that the judiciary is completely clogged with these cases, and judiciary is not able to do its normal work. So when you go to the High Court, and if you look at the statistics of bail in the High Court, you will find that in the Patna High Court, a bail is not heard for months together. And if you do an analysis of the bails which are pending, you will find that more than half the bails are related to prohibition related cases. So that's the stark reality as far as prohibition in Bihar is concerned, and I think it will be a great step if the present BJP government were to do away with prohibition. Also ensure that if there is somebody who is an alcoholic, if he is depriving the family, then there could be definitely ways and means to ensure that the family doesn't suffer. But that really is the root problem, if at all, if you look at it as a social problem. But apart from that, if the entire country can go without prohibition, I don't see why Bihar needs to have prohibition in the first place.